You send a short email one morning and you think it's perfect. Someone replies with a question that makes you blink twice. You reread your own words and realize, well, you assume too much. That moment right there, that is clarity failing. So you're probably not as clear as you think you are. And if your first reaction to that is, what are you talking about? Of course I am. That reaction is part of the problem. We walk around assuming our thoughts are neat, logical, and very easy to follow. Inside our own heads, yes, they feel complete, they feel super clear, but clarity doesn't live inside your head, it lives in someone else's. Your brain is doing something very helpful and very misleading at the same time. It likes to fill in gaps automatically. It remembers context and it even predicts what you're going to say before you finish that sentence. But see, other people don't get that version. So when you explain something and you think, that was perfectly clear, what you really mean is, that was clear to me with all my internal footnotes attached. Now, this shows up everywhere. At work, it's like that email you reread and think it's super, like crystal clear. You formatted it neatly, you've bolded the key points, even number the steps for the person. Then, someone replies with a question that makes you wonder if they read it at all. They did, they just didn't read what you meant. Or in meetings, you outline a plan, everyone nods, there are no objections. Later, execution is off. It's not dramatically wrong, but like a little bit misaligned. Just enough to create friction, slow things down, and probably at the worst possible time. Or it's the presentation you spent hours rehearsing. You use simple language, vivid slides, the logical flows there, yet the key stakeholder leaves confused. And you walk out thinking, did I really not make that clear? Here's the tricky part. This kind of misunderstanding is invisible. It's not when people are obviously confused, but when they think they understand you. You see, when someone knows they're confused, they ask questions, right? When they think they're aligned, they move forward confidently in the wrong direction. You're telling them go left, and they're sitting there making a U-turn. It happens in relationships too. It's probably, more quiet. It's like, well, I thought I was being obvious. Like, I thought you knew what I meant, or I didn't think I had to explain that. But explanation isn't overcommunication, it's shared reality. And a lot of people avoid spelling things out because they don't want to seem controlling, defensive, or like overly analytical. So they stay vague and they call it being understood. What they're really doing here is they're outsourcing interpretation. And of course, interpretation never stays neutral. It drifts slowly, subtly, and it's shaped by the other person's assumptions, the context, and the perspective. So maybe it's that friend hearing one thing but interpreting it entirely through their own expectations, and they end up in the wrong place and the wrong time. Or it could be the colleague thinking your high priority task was optional. Or maybe it's a partner misreading a tone you didn't even intend. There's a pattern here that shows up again and again, especially among capable people. They're articulate, quick thinking, used to being understood. So they trust their clarity instead of checking it. There's no need to spell everything out, right? Who's got time for that? Clarity, though, isn't a personality trait, it's a relational outcome. So it doesn't matter how elegant your thinking is if the other person can't see the path you took to get there. And the higher your stakes, the more this matters. So as you become more senior, people interrupt you less, right? They ask fewer clarifying questions and they assume they should be the ones keeping up with you. So ambiguity doesn't get challenged, it gets absorbed, which is why leadership failure often doesn't look like chaos. It looks more like quiet misalignment. Everyone is doing something reasonable, just not the same thing. So, why does this happen, right? A few reasons, quietly working together. First, our brains. We compress complexity automatically. We love mental shortcuts. We forget how much context we're actually carrying. So when we speak, We're sending a summary, not the full map, and we like to skip steps without noticing. We explain the conclusion, but not the reasoning. And we state decisions, but we leave out the trade offs. And we say, this makes sense, instead of, here's how I got here. Two, social norms. We don't want to over explain. We don't want to feel controlling, defensive, or like most importantly, annoying. So we stay vague. We trust others to fill in the gaps the same way we do in our own heads. Three, leadership dynamics. The higher your stakes, the more invisible misalignment becomes. People nod politely instead of asking. Assumptions start to accumulate quietly. And weeks later, small gaps become friction, missed deadlines, or even like a bigger mistake. The irony is that people who are genuinely clear tend to doubt their own clarity. They repeat themselves, they rephrase, they invite pushback. And this isn't because they're insecure, but because they're precise. They'll say things like, okay, here's what I'm trying to say, or tell me what you heard, or let me know where this didn't land. They understand that clarity isn't about saying things once cleanly, it's about making it hard to misunderstand you. And that usually means over explaining the part you're most tempted to skip, the why. Why this matters, why this choice over another, why now? Because people don't misinterpret facts nearly as much as they misinterpret the intent. So here's a shift that changes everything. Stop asking yourself, was I clear? That question is actually kind of useless. Instead, start asking, what might someone reasonably misunderstand here? And that question pulls you out of your own head. It assumes good faith. It treats confusion as predictable and not personal. And once you start thinking this way, something changes. You stop being frustrated by misunderstanding and start designing against it. That is real clarity, the kind that actually lands.